Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm filming this on Halloween, although I'm probably going to upload it a few weeks later because I'm trying to figure out a new kind of posting schedule. Um, and this message I feel like can be relevant all the time. There are so many people going through what I'm about to talk about. So I wrote something today and I posted it on Facebook, and I'm probably going to put it on Substack and maybe find other ways to just share it. Might make some vignettes. I don't know if they're going to be out right now by the time you're seeing this, but I have some vignettes that I am currently working on, and I'm going to go edit them today. And what that is basically just my filming my video work with my narrated writing, basically. And it's another way for me to share, these messages and everything. And oh my god, I have brand new tights and they just got a rip in them. That's what you get for buying really, really thin tights. Anyway, so I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to get into some channeling and message sharing and whatnot. But this is for the people who feel lonely, just in general. Especially during holiday times or, in transitions in your life, things like this. So here's what I wrote. Community celebration days like today, Halloween, can feel sticky for people who are in the midst of transition, like me. Fear of missing out. Hi, sweet girl. Loneliness. All the rooted connection I can't yet fully sink into because it doesn't exist yet. When you encounter holidays, places, things, or even people who brush up against the parts of you that are longing for connection, it can hurt a lot. But you also don't need to prove anything. And what's meant for you isn't going anywhere. Just because the world is celebrating one day doesn't mean your day is insufficient somehow. I dressed up because I felt like it, and today of all days is a good reason to dress sparkly. I'll probably take myself to edit videos at the Barnes & Noble Cafe, and if I'm feeling brave enough, I'll go alone to this event tonight that I'm both anxious and curious about. Lots of people can feel lonely and exposed when they're in situations where it seems like the outside world is enjoying what they don't have, like Mother's Day for the unmothered, high holidays like Hanukkah and Christmas without a tight-knit community or a warm and safe family to celebrate with, sitting at a cafe but nobody to share your tea with, walking downtown, nobody to do it hand in hand with. Yes, there is magic in aloneness, but I want to speak to the reality a lot of people silently face and hope to make you less alone, or just expose myself a little too much. If you are in the middle of leaving a community or place that didn't work for your life, the moments that used to be full, now being empty, can bring heaviness and a sense of isolation. When I left my old place this year, exploring alone was filled with magic at times, but it got heavier the longer I went without community. Connection is the most meaningful thing in this life. Others might be sharing a special occasion, but I want to remind myself and whoever needs to hear it that even if today feels lonely, maybe it just means your life finally has room for the people, places, and things that are a better match. That doesn't make the loneliness less excruciating. It just makes it make sense. Transitions take time. Finding new rhythms takes time. Earlier this year, I feared I would die, literally. I didn't know when my next flare-up would happen and whether it would render me unconscious or more disabled, and my blood family watched it happen without caring. I asked them for help. They never ever reached out. They performed care. Friends did the same. My own birthday this year went unacknowledged by multiple people who I expected would show up on that day, and I was bedridden on my birthday. Going through that made me choose loneliness over false connection. It gave me the courage to cut ties with everyone who failed to meet me when I was at the most vulnerable point in my life. I realized that I'd survive better alone than surrounded by people who went cold when I was at my worst. That was the less painful option. It forced me to leave and start over someplace where I could have a better chance at finding and building my dream community. That's what I'm doing now, and it just so happens to be Halloween while I'm in the middle of this process today when I'm filming this. And it makes me sad. I wish I had friends here. I wish I felt included. After everything turned upside down then, I finally restored enough of my health to leave Florida and cut those ties. This is simply what happened, and I don't want to carry the weight of shame that I'm lonely and have no plans on a holiday like Halloween, when in prior years I would have been cackling and dancing like a gremlin with the best company. I wanted to share this because it's a story so many people are living invisibly. So here's my voice to connect us, share warmth, and remind you there's nothing embarrassing about being alone when society all seems to be out celebrating. And I wanted to look sparkly anyway. So that was what I wrote today. It was inspired because I feel lonely as heck. And it's Halloween, and whether you are, seeking a new community, or you've moved on from friendships or relationships, or, have experienced family estrangement, or whatever your situation is, moving on from a job, just in transition, when you encounter people, places, and things that remind you of what you don't have right now, it's painful, it's hard, it's so hard and so painful. And that's exactly why I wanted to share this and talk about it, because it's normal, it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it's normal in the sense that it's healthy or natural. Natural and normal are maybe two different things. It's not natural to be alone. It kind of conflicts with our human nature, which is communal. Tea is still so hot. But yeah, I just wanted to make this and shout out into the void and share this. I'm going to sit for a minute and kind of open up to see if any specific channels want to come through, but I just wanted to share that first and foremost. What I'm hearing, and this is just as much for me as it is for whoever needs it, is that it's okay to be sad. It is so okay to be sad. And anyone in your position would feel the same. There's also a message, again, just as much for me as possibly for whoever needs this, that, you don't need to perform or put pressure on yourself or show up a certain way. Like, you're not missing anything just because this is where your life is right now compared to the whole world. And it's so fascinating because so many people talk about, comparison is like the thief of joy or whatever. I don't know where I've heard that before, but it's true. And that quote becomes so relevant and so obvious on days like holidays, or like in contexts or situations where what you see outside doesn't match up where you are in your life. And it's like you can be going through something or a transition or whatever by yourself and not have a community or people to like reflect your experiences with, and it amplifies that sense of isolation, and it creates this meta reaction of fear and panic because your body registers this deprivation, this isolation, this loneliness, whatever it is, and it creates like physiological fear responses, which is natural. It's a natural response to being alone and to feeling that neglect and that abandonment. And the more that I talk, the more that I feel like I need to say, I feel like I'm specifically speaking to the population of people who had no choice but to leave behind everyone and everything. Family, friends, people who were unfortunately put in vulnerable positions, and having to make the choice between staying vulnerable with these people who were not able to genuinely care for you and show up for you and support you, and leaving that all behind because being isolated and being alone was actually better for you. It was less painful. It was less stressful, put less pressure on you. And that is a choice that I had to make. And right now, I am carrying that weight. One that was never mine to carry. One that in an ideal world, other people would see and swoop in and take care of me and help me. You know? And when I say take care of me, it could be something just as simple as just like checking in, saying hello, inviting me to a thing, reaching out, having a conversation, as I literally just get a message from a group chat. That's super, I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but that's such a sweet little coincidence, confirmation moment that I love. And a reminder that, this is another thing that's coming through. So I'm speaking mostly from my own experience, and I know that this is necessary for so many people to hear. But when you are creating a new life, when you're moving away from the things that threatened to take your life and stole your energy and hurt you and harmed you, abused, tortured, whatever, when you're moving away from those things, and that's been your life, that's been the foundation that you were standing on, that's what you adapted and survived to cope with, to deal with. When you're moving away from that and into the new things, it literally takes consistency and repetition for your nervous system to finally down-regulate and get used to. The wall is shiny over here. I was like, what is that? It takes time for your nervous system to get accustomed to and to begin anticipating the pleasure and the routine and that sense of safety and consistency and whatnot that hasn't been there. And I know specifically for me, that is a huge, theme, because I am a traveler. I've been on the road this year since May, and I had just a lot of moving parts in my life for many, many, many years. I was in New York for 2.5 years, from 2022 from January of 22 to May of 24. And I had co-owned a house with my narcissistic mom. At the time, I was still very much entangled with her. She was financially abusing me, and I didn't know that situation. I don't know if I've actually told this story yet, but one day I'm going to tell it, in detail, just to bring voice to this, because I know that if I was able to hear someone talking about the things that I was going through and I had to find out on my own, I would feel so much more sane and comforted knowing that somebody else was going through what I went through. And I also think it's important just to share and be visible and educate people about these things, because people need to know. And I think if the right people actually saw the truth of what was going on, more people would have opportunity to both support and care for and, yes, save other people from abuse, and also just to be supported. Survivors would have more of an opportunity to be supported, to receive support, if more people were aware that this is something that you need to pay attention to and look out for. Trigger warning. And what I'm talking about kind of can be exemplified on how it's you walk into an airport bathroom or a public bathroom and you see a sign on the back of the stall that says are you being trafficked? Are you safe? Here's a hotline you can call, or whatever. And it's that's just one little thing that mainstream society has kind of exercised or implemented to care for a specific population of people who are systemically silenced. And our society doesn't help with systemic silence either, because where you can walk into a grocery store and buy yourself a bottle of orange juice. You can go to a cafe and order a coffee. You can go to a concert and dance to music. You can go to a shoe store and buy a pair of shoes. But where can you go in public in the Western world, in America, in the United States, and ask for help because you're being abused by a narcissist? I mean, there are resources, online, and there's meetup groups and things like this. But where is the in-person invitation? Where is the real physical flesh 3D life resource for the people who are silenced and suffering alone and escaping abuse? Where are those resources? Where's the support group? Where are those spaces? And this is specific, particularly meaningful for me because I didn't get the support, the visibility, the validation, the justice that I needed throughout all my years, that I literally clawed my way tooth and nail out of hell to be where I am right now. And now I'm carrying the weight of loneliness, and it's extra heightened because today's Halloween and I love dressing up and I love being a gremlin and I love community and I love, dancing or whatever. But my nervous system is so afraid that I don't feel contained enough. I don't feel safe enough to go to a loud event alone. And I know myself, and I've been told I have big go first energy, and I get the feedback all the time that I'm courageous, I'm brave, whatever. And I know I am. And even so, there are limits to what the nervous system can handle. There are limits to what my nervous system can handle. And I do put myself out. I do go to events. I do make plans. I am using Bumble BFF as well. I find Facebook groups. I reach out to people with common connections. Like, I am very proactive about putting myself out there and building community. However, it's too much sometimes. And it's heavy. I feel like I was on to a certain point, but it slipped my mind. I feel like I lost my train of thought. So I might need to just pause and think here for a second. I think I'm going to take a second. Basically, just to circle back to what I was saying before, it takes time and consistency for your nervous system to begin to learn to trust again, to trust social situations, to trust connections, to trust the rhythm of your life, that it's going to actually hold you instead of abandoning you again. And that's a really, 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 really hard and heavy process to go through that actually feels good to articulate and verbalize, because it's crazy when you literally have no choice but to isolate yourself, because that's how you can survive. And then your nervous system carries the trauma of being abandoned and neglected when you needed support the most by the people who were biologically wired, who were supposed to do that for you, but they didn't. So you have trauma around closeness with certain conditions that aren't met, aka if consistency is not there, if genuineness is not there, authenticity, vulnerability, love, reliability. If those things are not there, it's not safe for someone who is dependent and whose survival is dependent on those things. And when they're missing, and you make the choice to leave because you deserve better, not only do you deserve better, but you are biologically wired for better. It's not even a question of self-worth or identity. It's a matter of fact. And it's shameful and hard. Not shameful for the people going through the thing, but it's shameful that this is even a reality, that too many people are burdened with the weight of loneliness. And what my heart wishes is that there was just a community and a space where the forgotten people could come together and share a meal and share a conversation and share real connection, real feelings, real lived experiences in a safe space where they are valued. People want to hear what they're going through. People want to feel them, know them, sense them, care, show care, give space. That's a dream that I have, and that's why I make YouTube videos, because this is kind of my way of like leading a community in this sense, and it brings me deep purpose. And you know what sucks is that I would love to go out tonight and, have myself a dance and enjoy and have fun and play, but there's also a part of me that is so stretched and so at my limit. And I have put myself through years of putting myself out and going to a thing first and putting myself in so many uncomfortable situations. And it's like, I don't know if it's worth it to me to go experiment and see, maybe I'll make a connection, when the cons, the noise, the bar energy, the whatever, just all those things might overstimulate me and make me worse off. So it's tricky and it's frustrating, because I know that if I had a safe little pod, a group of people, a sense of belonging, it would be a buffer between me and the world. And it's like, I've always lived life and pursued things without that buffer. And I mean, for example, I am not afraid to speak. I'm not afraid to just open myself, bare myself, share myself in this way. And I know it's a lot of people's worst fear is public speaking, but I can do that. And yeah, but there's just a limit, like I don't want to, I'm genuinely tired of putting myself out there. I'm fatigued. I can't sustain it. Also, I bought this mug because I think it's so beautiful, and I wanted to carry a sense, it says home sweet home. I wanted to carry a sense of home with me wherever I am. So this is like a little talisman of comfort for me. So, okay, I'm gonna pull some cards now. I've been loving doing these videos, by the way. It's a new format. I'm settling into like a rhythm, consistency. I've created more structure around the flow of my creativity and the specific things that I want to create and offer, such as my vignettes, my writing, my illustration, my tarot, my speaking, my emotional healing leadership kind of whatever, somewhat of the music thing. I would consider myself a musician, even though I'm not like a professional by any means. I've done some open mics and I have songs that I've written and I love making music, but I have not really like stoked the flames of that part of my life in a while. So I kind of want to like get into taking lessons, and eventually I would love to produce songs, and maybe release some things on Spotify, but that's like a, future kind of thing. But yeah, so I'm falling into this rhythm, and I think I'm going to post like channeling, tarot, encouraging message type videos every Saturday, because I want to grow my channel like algorithmically. And so I'm just filming these videos back to back pretty much like whenever I have the energy, and then spacing them out so that they post on Saturdays, so that I can sustain my creative rhythms and share consistently for you guys, and for me. So anyway, let's pull some messages on anything that wants to come out today. I'm just feeling this really bittersweet feeling that it's like FOMO, like I'm missing out on something. Pulled a little Joker card here, which I interpret this card as kind of like a period, point blank, it's just like emphasizing or amplifying what's already there. But yeah, so some of you might also be feeling this sense of like missing out, but I don't want to actually believe that I'm missing out on anything. And I mean, here we have attachment, fears, insecurity, obsession. So I feel like it's, if anything, this feeling of missing out, if this is like true for you if you relate with that sense of missing out. Maybe you can understand it, frame it, see it as it's just a part of you that is so hungry and so ready for a certain type of connection that is not necessarily available right here, today, right now, but you are working towards it. You are building towards it. And so that feeling that it's just an echo of that. The feeling of FOMO, fear of missing out, it's just an echo of what you're already creating and building in your life, but you're going about it in a way that's sustained so the slow burn can maintain itself and continue, instead of just jumping into something full exposure, full stimulation, noise, lights, sound, speed, movement, whatever, and then burning you out and taking a toll. And I mean, for me, that's one of the reasons that I don't want to go to this thing tonight, because it would be too overstimulating to go by myself. I don't like going to things like that by myself. I love being with people that I feel deeply comfortable with, but I need that buffer if I am to feel okay. So it's like the devil is like obsession, longing, wanting maybe what you can't have. And so think of FOMO. I think this might make some people feel a little better, give a nice perspective, but think of FOMO as like, again, just an echo of your longing, and take this as affirmation, confirmation, reassurance that just because you see something that you feel like you're missing out on, you're not actually missing out on the thing. If you're honoring your rhythms, honoring your pace, honoring what is sustainable for you, and then committing to that, going through with that. And that's how it would be on any old day. Like, you'll have your time, you'll have your moment to shine. You're going to have your like big break or your celebration moment, but it might not happen when you expect it to happen, or when the world expects that, you should be in that energy. Hope that makes sense. What else wants to come through? Yeah, we have the Four of Cups. So this is kind of like, you might feel a sense of like boredom or delay, or, I mean, the card itself says Lord of Blended Pleasure. So there's this feeling of like emotional calm or stagnancy, and you might be interpreting this period in your life as like nothing's happening, but it doesn't mean nothing's happening. It's just that things are slow, things are paused. If you watched my previous channel the last week, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if I'm going to space these so far apart. I'm going to feel into that. But for now, this is my rhythm. So I might have the channels start to be releasing closer together. But anyway, for now, this is the situation. We also have the Nine of Swords, which makes sense because I've been talking about kind of these anxious fears, whatever. So, I mean, that's there, and it's no surprise. It also represents endings of cycles, and this came right out, Knight of Pentacles. So, yeah, I feel like this is a time where you're putting your energy into a steady pursuit of, driving certain things forward, creating foundation, creating grounding. King of Swords, discernment. I feel like you're learning to integrate the truth of your narrative in this moment, and it's like you're taking back the truth of what you're actually living and going through, and you're not allowing the anxiety or other people's expectations or pressures to become internalized. You're not integrating those things. What you're integrating is your own relationship with where you're at in your life, and you're not measuring your worth or your progress by what other people are doing just because it's Halloween or Christmas or Hanukkah or your birthday or whatever, or just because you're a certain age or you're 30 or you're 50 or whatever. Your life and where you are at in your life and your pace and your rhythms are not defined by convention or by other people's expectations and standards. And the deck is split, and we have the Three of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. So this speaks to what you're working towards and what's coming into your field, which is long-lasting, deeply fulfilling, stabilizing community. So we have these two come out here. We have the, oh wow, look at that. We have the Three of Pentacles and the King of Wands. So what this says to me is that this has been a theme lately. The excitement, the passion, the celebration, the festivity that maybe you feel like you're missing out on some days, especially during holidays or whatever. And like I read in the thing that I wrote earlier, you know, my birthday went unacknowledged by a few people that were closest to me. I mean, not air quotes, they were closest to me, but it's shitty that happened. I lost my train of thought where I was going with that, but it's like there are two polarities in here, in these cards. Passion, vigor, excitement, arousal, excitement, vitality, right? That's one pole. And there's another one, stability, rootedness, earthiness, air and fire, earth and water, in other words. There's this excitement, passionate, expansive energy, and then there's the contained, grounded, structured, regimented energy. And this speaks to the harmonizing of both of them. 3 is a very harmonious number, forms a trine. In astrology, trines are some of the best relationship synastry angles that planets can have, because planets can be opposing each other. That's friction, confrontation, tension. Sometimes they can be forming a square angle, 90-degree angle. That is also tension. Sometimes they form a sextile. That's like a closer kind of relationship. And sometimes they form a trine, grand trine, triangle. And trines bring out like equanimity, equilibrium, balance, harmony. How do these two elements flow together? What is the most harmonious like points between each of them? And that's what the number 3 kind of, I don't know, represents energetically to me. So there's a sense of really harmonious, compatible work partners or friends. And with the King of Wands here, this is like total integrity, mastery, pursuit, passion. It's like blending groundedness. And we have the King of Swords here as well. So there's like this masculine containment and structure coming in around your passion, and specifically around your maybe sense of friendship or collaboration or whoever you're working with or whatever. So that's that. I'm going to pull one more card for any final messages, and then I'm just going to leave this here. And if you want a personal reading from me, you can check my description, and I have my offerings there. You can send me a message if you want to get a reading from me. But yeah, last card we have is a Chariot. So this is saying that even if things are not, the way I read this, even if things are not seeming to match your pace on the outside, there's still momentum. There's still forward momentum. They're still moving forward. So, all right, that's all I have for you. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Again, these are fun to do. Leave a comment if you resonate. Let me know how it lands, and I'll see you in the next one.